Hello and welcome to the Impact Zone podcast. We're back, and they have finally revealed the full participants for the Ultimate X here. So we've had a few of these announced as we've been going along. Casey was the only person that I recall actually having to win a match into this, but whatever. So the final participant is Sydney Akim, who wrestled Moose a couple of weeks ago, whatever it was, at Under Siege. Or no, Unbreakable, rather. I'm still going to get the two confused. I'm going to get them confused forever. So sorry about that, but whatever. Yeah, but he's now added to the Ultimate X. Now, I do feel like we can try to figure out, like I said this before, like I felt like, you know, the story thus far has been like with Leon and Moose. Like they gave something to Sydney here, and it feels like maybe they'll sign him. I don't know. But I don't seriously think that he's going to win this match. It's super unlikely. Let's say that. He's talented though. And to have him on the roster, I think that is something that they want. Obviously, because otherwise, why the heck would they be like investing their time and their energy into like saying, yeah, let's bring you in for this match, and like even for one match, like. Let alone two matches, like, let alone, like, this must, like, this was the plan all along to, bring him in and say, okay, well, you lost to Moose, there was shenanigans and whatnot, so we're going to bring you in for the Ultimate X as well, which, fair enough, that seems cool to me as well. But yeah, I don't think it's worthwhile or worthy of the guy holding the title. Perhaps, like I said again, he might get a contract, which, that seems well and truly obvious in my opinion. You wouldn't be bringing him in, like maybe you are just bringing him in for a couple of showings, but like based on his showings, you're going to probably offer him a deal, but wait and see with that. I highly doubt Vikingo is winning it with the whole WWE buying AAA thing, but like I wouldn't say it's completely impossible. But again, it's one of those things that it's like, well, again, here, like with Cardona and Vikingo, neither of them have been on TV or pay-per-view. At least Sydney's been like on pay-per-view recently. And the fans have kind of, some of the fans would know who the heck he is from the indies, maybe, I don't know. But, yeah, like, we haven't seen anything from Vikingo or Cardona. Obviously, Vikingo is in my opinion, the more likely out of those in some ways, because he sort of fits that X division, and it sort of feels like TNA has been constantly or somewhat constantly like going and hinting that, we want to put the belt on this guy. I think because he got injured that they just didn't pull the trigger and whatnot last time. But yeah, he does sit, not to say that he's injury prone, but it does seem like he gets injured quite a lot. So I don't know how likely that would be. And especially as I said now, it's like, oh, you're probably just, he might be working somewhat in Mexico, and hey, he's, WWE and TNA have a working agreement, but still I would feel like WWE wants him like on their programming way more than they would like say, oh yeah, that's fine, you can have your guy or whatever on our programming, that's fine. You know, like it has happened, but I don't feel like that it's something they specifically want to do that much. You know, it's something that they sort of begrudgingly kind of do in some ways, I guess. I don't know. That's what I feel like, at least. So, like, anyone, even Cardona, same sort of thing. It's like, well, you know, again, is he possibly going to WWE at some point? I don't know, dude. Um, but yeah, it's like neither of these guys have been on TV or done anything in forever, and it's like, well, it's just big names kind of to fill out the field kind of thing, because everyone knows Cardona, everyone knows Vikingo. They're big indie names, and potentially on the way up to, you know, the main, well, not the main roster, but WWE and whatnot. So I would count them out. I would count Sydney out because, again, I sort of don't feel like he's on that level yet of, like, he can be a good hand in the division and can do some good stuff in the division, but I don't think that they've positioned him like the next X Division guy. He could, like I said, he could be in the division for a while. He could even feud with KC Navarro. That would give KC something to do. But then again, I would like him to feud with other people as well. But then again, like, you could still do both kind of things. Like, but yeah. So, I don't know. I don't see it for him either. So now we're down to KC, Leon, and Moose. And I don't see KC winning it off Moose in that regard, because it just doesn't make much sense that a heel would win it off of another heel, even in Ultimate X, because then you've got to think about, oh, what are they going to do after that? Well, Moose has lost the belt, and now he needs to regain it, and whatnot. So it just doesn't make any real sense, you know, like, of saying, oh, let's put it on Casey, and then we're going to have a, you know, rematch for Moose with Casey. You know, it's like, that doesn't make any sense, or unless you're trying to turn Casey babyface, and I don't know how well that will work, because he works way better as a heel. So Leon is the only challenger that I can see in this match that would have a potential reason to win it. And a potential, like, I've said for so long, he's been featured for so long that it's like, yeah, I could see him winning it. I could also see him not winning it. I could see Moose easily retain, well, not easily, but I could see that Moose might retain here in some fashion, because I kept saying it. I kind of felt like they might want Leon to win in a one-on-one match where it's like, oh, he definitely beat Moose, and it's been built up, and he's been so close and so close and so close for so long, you know, fingertips away, blah, 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 all this stuff for so long, and now he finally somehow, some way beats Moose one-on-one in some fashion, and yeah, we go from there, and then, like, have, you know, but again, like, you have to think about how this would work. You've got to think about, Leon is the underdog. If he wins it here, it does make sense. Like, you know, so then you can have the rematch with Moose and Leon later on, and, like, you know, you still have a lot there to work with, because it's like, you know, he didn't pin Moose, you know, but, you know, it's like, he's won the title, you know, and so now he's got to defend the title. How the heck's he going to defend it against Moose, you know, who, you know, big time player, one of the absolute, you know, megastars in TNA, you know, former 2-time world champion, you know, like, all these accolades that Moose has got. So it's like, that could make sense, but it could make sense, as I said, to say, let's keep it on Moose, let's have him lose it later down the track, and I don't know when, It's always tough to sort of say when somebody would, make sense to lose it, because there's always something to say, oh, well, you could push it down the road, push that can down the road, you know, um, there's always another opportunity. You've got the live Impact tapings. Oh, well, there is a live Impact and a taping in Ivern. Then you've got Under Siege, and then you've got Against All Odds. I could see it at Against All Odds. That would make the most sense, besides like Slammiversary or whatever. So I don't know. That does make an amount of sense. But Slammiversary also makes a whole lot of sense. Like a Slammiversary is always one of the big shows for the year, and that and Bound for Glory. So it's like, we're building up to this big thing, and like that's why, like, you've put these matches there because it's like, this is a big time match, this is a big time thing, we've built to it for months, or kind of, and now it's going to pay off, in this big match on this big show. That's why you have these big shows, to have big matches, big feuds, big things kind of go down and happen. So, you've got to, and that's how you get, people to come in and say, hey, let's check this out, because, they've got a big show coming, and it's, all this stuff, and what, is Leon finally going to win the belts? Is this going to happen, or is that going to happen, or is he somehow going to retain it, or whatever else, the situation is specifically, that you put yourself saying, okay, let's do this. But the thing is, it's like, also you could say, okay, either at Slammiversary or at Bound for Glory, you could, like I said before, I would love to see a feud with Leon and Amazing Red. I would love to see that, because it's like, it makes sense. Leon's beating Red's, or trying to beat Red's, record of being the youngest champion, X Division champion. So it's like, bring him in, and, I know lots of people would love, be happy to see him, and you like get a good reception and a babyface reception, but it's like, you could still book him in a way of being like a babyface and still saying, hey, I don't want you to beat my record, man. That record stood the test of time, and this is what, I did. And if you want to beat my record, you've got to go through me, or whatever. You don't have to do it in a heel way. You could just do it, like that. I don't know. But again, I think it would work better somewhat being heel-ish, because it still makes a little bit more sense. And, then you give Leon the win, and he wanders off and challenges Moose later down the road, and then, like, maybe you can bring Red back, I don't know, for more matches and more things, because there's so many people that are on that roster that you could have him work with in a major role. Like, obviously you could give him some more minor opponents and whatever else to build him up a bit more, and whatever else, and that sort of thing, obviously. But again, I would love to see that. But anyway, decision. It's really tough for me to decide, I guess. But I think I've just already decided that Moose is going to retain somehow. I've talked about that here and there, and we've kind of gone through it a bit. But I didn't really want to conclude until, like, we knew, like, who else was in this thing. But again, it's just like, yeah, like, I could easily see Leon winning it, but I think they're not going to do that. I think that they're going to extend this thing a lot longer, until, like, maybe, like Slammiversary or Bound for Glory, like that's where I'm thinking this is going to end, or close to where it's going to end. So it's like they're trying to build towards that, and it's probably closer to Slammiversary, honestly. But that, like you've got some of these other shows Against All Odds, Under Siege. So it's like those shows they need, like, and again, you need opponents for Moose. So I don't know. But then again, if you put the belt on Leon, you need opponents for Leon. Besides just like Moose and KC, because I think I said KC has a huge, huge future ahead of him. And I think that sooner rather than later, they should think about putting the belt on him, the X Division title, and giving him a solid run with it. You could do that. I don't know. You could do that after Bound for Glory or something like that. I don't know. And then kind of go from there, So, but yeah, that's where I think I'm at with this one, guys. The countdown to Rebellion. And first match is Xia Brookside, Lei-Ling Lee, and Rosemary versus Fatal Influence. I think that, this isn't going very far with these knockouts teaming up. I mean, Xia and Lee, they might continue to team up. I don't know. Maybe. Could see that. That has some small potential, but whatever. I don't really see that for now, but whatever. I feel like Rosemary, even if she doesn't lead to them losing in some ways by screwing over the baby faces, I feel like she's going to turn on the baby faces, so to speak, in this one. And they're still trying. I think they're still trying to build, at least in my perspective, they're still trying to build a match between Xia and Rosemary. It's just they're giving it, a long, winding, path to get to that point, which is fine, I think, and whatnot. People who say, oh, it should be done in a week or whatever. No, you should always try to build these things as big as what you can. So, yeah, I feel like one way or the other, Fatal Influence are winning, because even so, it's like they're a stronger unit than the baby faces as far as like synergy in a tag team or trios, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I feel like, and this is just on the countdown show, so it's just a showcase match, and something to set some seeds for later, which is again Xia and Rosemary. But then again, it sort of feels really weird because it's like, now you're giving Fatal Influence the win, and it's like, well, what are you going to do with them after that? Like, maybe you could have them in the tag team division, but like, are they sticking around for any more than a couple more weeks? Like, I don't know. We don't know. And it's like, why isn't like WWE doing much with them? Like, that's another thing. Same thing with some of the other girls and whatnot. It's like, well, why aren't you doing anything with your girls that you got? Instead of buying everyone else out. It's like, yeah, too many things going on. But anyway, move on. Because I think we've pretty much covered all of that. Now, the Work with Elijah challenge has been moved to the Countdown show. So that I thought that this was probably like the weakest match anyway, or one of the weakest matches on the card. Because it's like him versus mystery opponent, and the mystery opponent's probably going to lose because you don't have these things where somebody's going to be challenged by somebody 9 times out of 10 and the challenger wins. Like, this is just a showcase for Elijah, and it might, plant some seeds for later. Who knows? But yeah, like, this is fine. Again, whatever. So yeah, but it almost feels like that only those 2 matches. It's pretty short, but then again, it's only like 30 minutes, so each of them might only get like maybe 12 minutes or whatever it is, including not including entrances or whatever. But yeah, like, it is a big show, and I think some of these big shows are sometimes an hour long pre-show or countdown show, but I'm not too sure with this one, actually. So yeah, actually, I just checked, and yeah, it is for 1 hour. So that is pretty short for only having two matches on the pre-show or countdown show or the buy-in or the lock-in or the lockout or whatever you want to call it. The part of the show that's not the show that gets people to think about buying the show that haven't bought the show yet, because they put some stuff on there that is, good. So in that regard, I still feel like they're not going to get a whole lot more. There might be some more other stuff on the show, on the pre-show, countdown show, whatever, that isn't advertised at the current moment. But again, I don't think that it will really change the too much. So at least we know like some stuff going in and probably some stuff coming out. Next, also another update here for Rebellion will be 6-man tag between the Rascals and Ace Austin against the System, Myers, Edwards, and JDC, with Sean Waltman in their corner. The Rascals versus the System, with Alicia in the corner of the System. That's kind of cool in some ways to have, somebody, who was in TNA many moons ago, relegated more to the outside role here. I'm sure Sean will do some spots or whatever else, get involved physically at some low level-ish, but yeah, I think, he knows, hey, can't go like people would expect me to, or like I used to, and, just to be a guy that's sort of, working with some of these young guys that, that are out there, and, certainly would be influenced by him, from years ago and whatnot. Yeah, it's kind of cool to see this. Prediction. I'm just trying to think, because the System have had chance after chance at the Hardys. So I don't know, but it does feel like they should be winning, but I'm not too sure, because it's like you start wondering, well, where's that going? Who, like Austin, Miguel, and Wentz are all pretty protected. Really. Yes, they've had losses here and there, but they're nowhere, considered jobbers, whereas, Myers and JDC are considered jobbers for the most part. So it's but then again, you're trying to sort of reboot the System and do all this stuff, so I could see them potentially going down that route and giving them a win against a team that's not a traditional team and whatnot. So I don't know. I am interested in trying to figure this out, but it's like the Rascals and Ace, they sort of don't have a whole lot to do, though, to be honest, the System doesn't, but they at least have kind of a story going. Before, the Rascals and Ace had a story with Wentz and that, and with Wes and all that, so that was kind of there, and they had that kind of feud going on with Tyreek and whatever his other name, whoever the other Mr. T was, whatever his name was, or whatever his name was, I don't care. But yeah, right now they don't. At least the System has a strong story of, we're trying to get back on the road and trying to get back into form and things like that. Maybe, you could just say the System wins this and then have another match down the road for these guys. I wouldn't mind seeing that, because then you could add stipulations and make it more interesting and things like that. So I think I'd like to see that. But it's also really cool to see Sean. I think he's I don't know whether he's a producer or whatnot in WWE right now, or an agent or whatever else he does over there in WWE. But yeah, he's mostly involved, or not involved in other things. Like, he's not been around a whole lot. I think he's kind of on a Legends deal. So, but yeah, like, that's where I'm at with that right now. I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, I think I will say that the system will probably win this one. Um, and then they'll move on from there, and maybe there'll be another match down the road between these teams. Some sort of hardcore style match or Falls Count Anywhere, something like that. I don't know, but then again, you never know. Maybe not. Who knows? But anyway, guys, we'll move on. I don't think anything else major has come out. Maybe they will have the announcement for the pre-show, the countdown show, whatever. And some matches might get shuffled around to be on the countdown show or whatever else it is. But yeah, besides that, I think we've covered the whole card now. And I think we're ready for Rebellion. So if there is one more video, it will be in the next day or so, I believe, because Rebellion isn't that far away. It's only in the next couple of days, so yeah, it definitely won't be far away. But yeah, like, if they have anything, that will be the last one before we actually get to see the show. And then after the show, we'll certainly be like reviewing it. Although I think one thing that will potentially stop, I don't know whether it will stop, but it will very much depend on something. And I think you guys know that I don't really want to cover TNA if they put the belt on Tessa, and that's not me personally wanting to cover the product in some ways, though I don't know whether I should still, I don't know, but I don't want to find myself in those waters where people are like, oh, boo, they put the belt on a racist and all of this and whatnot and whatever. Yeah, I just don't really want to deal with that, because it's like, guys, why'd you do this? Like, I said this on Twitter or whatever it was, and a few other posts and here and there. It's like, they should listen to the audience, even if they're not like gonna listen to the internet fans. Like, listening to the audience that is there in the arenas, they shouldn't be ignoring it, that people are chanting racist at her. It's like, not good. This is just, something that, we've talked about, but I don't know whether I want to step my foot in that, fire or whatever, from the fire to the fryer or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, we've been covering it up to now, and like we've said a lot, it's been kind of said a lot that there is like some plans for Tessa to go to WWE. Sure, sure. But I don't know when that is, or, what circumstance that is. And, like, from a storyline perspective, I think Tessa winning the title does make sense, but I just think that they should listen to the crowd and not frigging do it, because I don't think the crowd would be receptive at all to it, And then you've got your main event. Like, you've got your main event of, oh, well, actually, you've got three main events, but you've got your tag titles main event, you've got your, world title main event, triple threat, and, you've got Marsha and Tessa. So it's like, really, like, you've got, if you're going to end the night, you've kind of got to end it on a high, in a way. So if you're going to have Tessa win the belt, then you've got to have something else after that. And are people going to sit around to watch the last match if this is something that you've given them? when they've been chanting racist, racist, racist this whole frigging time at her and all of this stuff. I don't know. I don't think that they really would. And maybe some people will, but it's still a bad look, even if, like a few people like get out of there or try to riot and things like that. It's just not a good look. So, but yeah, like if they do pull that trigger, I don't know what to do. So I want to hear from you guys as well to know whether, I should keep plugging along and doing things or not. But you guys let me know. And either way, I hope you guys have enjoyed this one, and I hope you guys will join me again in the next one.